Hi everyone, it's Robin here. Welcome to my channel, Oracle Rising. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. I'm going to talk about inner child today. But just in case this is your first time watching a video on my channel, this is the channel that I was guided to start to help people escape from the 3D matrix, increase your potential for spiritual ascension, and just generally connect as a tribe with people. Notably, I noticed that there's a lot of star seeds that are guided to this channel. So I just want to say namaste to everybody. Thank you so much for subscribing, liking, and sharing the video. And of course, leaving a lovely comment down below. Sending love and light. Many blessings, guys. So, inner child. I find this a really fascinating subject, and I was asked to go into it a little bit more in depth because I've referred to it quite a bit on my other channel where I do tarot card readings. The Page of Cups cards represents the inner child and listening to messages from inner child. But if you're not really sure what that is, like, how are you supposed to listen to a message from it, right? So we'll talk about that a little bit in depth here today. Now let's do it. Okay, so I have notes, okay, so I don't stare into space like a donkey and forget where I am. So your inner child is your innocent essence, okay? So children and animals are the most innocent creatures, okay? We tend to lose our innocence at a certain age, especially if there's any sort of trauma in your life, okay? But there's also just the world at large, like watching things, scary things on TV, like the news, okay? Going through horrifying circumstances where you live, maybe possibly in your home, or, if you grew up in a war-torn country. So your inner child freezes at a certain age. There's an age limit of inner child, and it's prior to puberty. And I always get, for me, it's around the age of 7, okay? So that might be different for you as an individual, but for me, I feel like my inner child stopped aging at age 7. So everybody has an inner child. That's this innate essence, like I said before, of innocence within you. It sees the world in like bright, shiny possibilities with that eternal optimism. However, it can be really tinged by external circumstances, okay? And you can see this behavior in people. You really can. I'll go into that a little bit more. Your hopes and your dreams are also anchored in your inner child. The children of the world, they have no real limits to what it is that they see for themselves. They haven't been told yet that your dream is unattainable. You won't be able to achieve that. So I've mentioned before that I had kind of destructive parents, and I always had these really big dreams as a child. Like, I always wanted to be a performer. I always wanted to sing and be an actress, because I'm an Aries. I've got lots of energy. I love to sing. I love to dance. I love to entertain, make people laugh, all of that fun stuff. But I was told that I would never amount to anything, that I would never be successful. Like my dad always told me to shut up when I would sing, and I'm a pretty good singer, but they were just not in a very good place to be parents, I don't think, at that time. So that really kind of destroyed my dream, and I didn't have any other support because we lived away from everybody, really isolated. So I believed them. Okay, so my inner child and the dreams associated with the inner child, they stopped, okay? And then I began this sort of conformist path because we're put into systems where we don't really have an option, okay? So your inner child could be struggling to pass on messages to you, and we're absolutely clueless because we've been trained to not act like children. just before I sat down to do this video for you guys, I kept on hearing that song by Frankie Valli, Big Girls Don't Cry. Little boys are told to man up, men don't cry, stuff like that. There's things that are associated, like sort of gender specific rules of behavior, and then dreams of what we should be doing with our lives, of practicality, that other people are telling us that we should be following. So that inner child sort of gets locked within us, and it could be screaming messages at you. It could be crying, it could be like feeling really lost. And this is going to externalize in your behavior, okay? Childhood trauma in an inner child can root itself in adult behavior, okay? So you ever see grown men and women like freaking out and having tantrums, or being lost, being subjected to addictive behavior, just making stupid decisions, just a sec. Like not being able to talk about things, just growing up in an environment where you were never heard. So you start to assume that nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Nobody believes in your talent. You can really tell what a child has been through by the expressive behavior of an adult under pressure, how they react, okay? If they shut down, if they start to lash out, if they're heavily sarcastic, just all this really toxic behavior, it shows in the adult. So for me, when I see that in an adult person, I feel compassion and mercy for how that person was likely raised as a child. Conversely, you can see people with a really light heart, where they just think that life is really fun, and they're having a great time and they love to communicate, and they probably had better childhoods. They probably had better life experiences, or they were given the coping mechanisms to heal that inner child as life went on. So your inner child is always, always, always present, okay? And if your inner child is in pain, has unresolved trauma, it's going to reflect in your adult life. And some of us could be so disassociated from understanding that that inner child needs to be healed that you'll never heal your adult self. I was going to say something brilliant, but of course it's gone. Okay, so actually I saw this meme. I love memes. So it had two adults back to back, and they were both wrapped up. They were sitting and they were both wrapped up in their own pain and their own struggle, head in hands, like obviously feeling very defeated. But the really beautiful graphic within it was there was two children, like one in each of the adults, and they were turned face to face and they were touching each other's hands through the backs of the people that could not face each other. So within us all are these inner children that want to express all these beautiful emotions, and just talk and be open. So there is probably a struggle within each and every one of us. They probably happened before your inner child stopped growing. You know what I mean? Again, I relate to the age of 7. I don't know why, I just do. So this is why we talk about listening to messages from inner child. You can do inner child meditations. I like to recommend Kenneth Suarez. He's part of the Power Thoughts Meditation Club. He's one of the hosts there. I think he runs that with his brother. I think his name is Alex. I'm not associated with these guys or affiliated with them, but I just love their work. And I know Kenneth Suarez for sure does an inner child healing meditation. His last name is spelled Souras, if you guys ever want to check that out. If you're feeling like sort of an unresolved trauma within you, I would really check him out. He's got a beautiful voice, and the first time I did that meditation, like, I sobbed, okay? I just really sobbed, okay? So highly recommend, really can release out those feelings of trauma from your inner child. So I want to talk about healing your inner child, because if you look at our world right now, there's obviously a lot of people in power that need to heal their inner child, and they're not listening to it, and they're just scrambling to be on top of everything. Power is everything, and they're chasing the wrong dream, and they're taking humanity basically down the wrong path, if you ask me. So healing your inner child, you got to start talking. There's so many people, you ever have a conversation with somebody and there's noticeably something wrong with them, okay? And if you're an empath or a light worker or a starseed, you already know, somebody's tone or whatever, their posture or just their energy, and you're like, is everything okay? I'm okay. And then they don't want to say anything else, and you're like, dude, you gotta open up. You gotta be able to talk about it. So if you are in that situation and somebody says to you, are you okay? And you're like, start talking. People don't ask you if you're okay for no reason. They want to hear, they want to help. So really start talking. Talk to yourself also. I made this recommendation. I can't even remember if it was on this channel or my other one, but to do a video recording of yourself. Actually, I think it was this one, how to interview your higher self. I was talking about that one. You can do the same thing with your inner child, and you can expect that to be probably really gut-wrenching, especially if you had any sort of circumstance that was less than desirable as a child. And so many people go through devastating circumstances, I won't get into a list because it's a long one. Horrible things happen in our lives. So if you feel like you don't have anybody that you want to talk to, or maybe you have a past that's so hideous, and I just saw angel number 1212, you don't want to talk to anybody else about it, Maybe you're just too scarred to share that secret with anybody else. Angel number 222. We're surrounded by angels right now, you guys, coming in the community right now, visiting us on Oracle Rising to help us heal inner child wounds. So talk to yourself, make a video, talk to yourself as if you're sitting in front of your inner child, or do it in front of a mirror. Take a box of Kleenex, you're probably going to need it. Watch that video and then watch it again and watch it again and watch it again. And when you can sit there in front of your inner child video and not break down crying, but feel compassion and offer healing solutions to your inner child, that's when you know that healing has begun. When you can tell your story without crying about it anymore, that's when you know that healing is taking place. And it's a beautiful thing. Parenting, you can parent your inner child. Honestly, you guys, like, we had a very non-demonstrative, affectionate family. There was lots of demonstration of anger and hate, but on the flip side of it, there wasn't really any sort of I love you or hugs or anything like that. So for me, that was very, it was very challenging and difficult as a child. So, I mean, you can picture yourself in any sort of challenging circumstance that child you went through and go in and save you or go in and parent you at that age. It's okay, I've got you. Be the parent to your inner child that you might not never have had, or the version of parent that you think that you might have been better off with or desired that could have actually helped you, so that's a really big one. You could pinpoint a moment where I wish that I would have had a parent to help me out through that, but they were caught up in their own karmic path and they didn't see what was going on with me. And again, there's lots of stories that just are skin crawling. So, You know, if you can go back and save yourself and talk to yourself and parent yourself, super healing, you guys. Meditation, of course, and pictures of yourself as a child. So you can really start admiring who you were, you know, that innocent you, and supporting you. I have things like connecting and compassion. You can extend compassion to the parents that you had. You can forgive them. Sorry, hold on. So the thing about parents or people that are providing care for children, we don't know what stage of their soul contract that they're in at the time, you know? And sometimes as a child, you have to bear witness or be subjected to somebody that has a lot of healing to do, okay? So that is really extreme. So what was my point here? So you can extend compassion and forgiveness to the people that you are in their care, and that can help release you a little bit. I mean, blaming people for what happened, it's a huge detriment to self. So I wouldn't really recommend that. I think people with traumatic childhoods, they can tend to blame the people that they were in the care of for a long time. But then when you step back and realize, like, somehow you bought a front row seat to the theater of drama that you were immersed in, it wasn't even about you as a child. You just happened to have the unfortunate circumstance of being there, but it's also all part of your soul contract, even if it was like, why? You know, so release all of that as much as you can. I find writing down about that really helps too, you know. Learning how to release all of those and then embrace that inner child after you've healed it, and live your life with that joy that you had before you forgot that it existed, or it got wiped out, or, you know, that inner child that holds the key to your dreams, that never stopped believing, but you're so maybe numb or disconnected or angry or fearful as an adult, jaded, that you forget about your inner child. So there's a lot of work to do with your inner child, you guys. Your inner child just holds the key to your joy and everything positive, right? So I hope this was a really helpful video for connecting and understanding inner child, you guys. I do like to share a little bit of my life because I want you guys to know that I've been through things too, you know. I'm not just some random person sitting here. This is my calling to do this, to share life experiences, for us to bond and say, okay, we can make this through anything together because we're connected and we're healing each other. And through that healing, we'll rise out of the 3D matrix and be as powerful as we can be. Angel number 1818, guys. Sending love and light. Many blessings. Love you guys. Bye.